Welcome back to Totally Unexpected. I'm Chavie Brooke, your host, and today you're in for a real treat. Our guest is Simi Polonsky. You might know her from The Frock. This episode is so special. It really will speak for itself. But Simi takes us on a journey, and she does so with such an open heart, with such vulnerability, with such grace. And I would be so surprised if you left from hearing this episode unchanged. Like, it's going to affect you in the most beautiful way. Simi is a force. She's creative, she's spiritual, she's resilient beyond your imagination. She has a real passion for connection and expression, a real creative. She merges her craft, if you will, with a deep relationship with Hashem. And I think you'll really see this when you listen to her, the authenticity that she walks through life with and the relationship that she has fostered with Hashem and the people around her is truly incredible. She's a proud solo mother of 3. She co-founded the Frock NYC, a pioneering fashion brand that has helped reshape the conversation around modesty. And I can speak to that. I've been a huge fan. And though the brand is not actually up and running in the full sense of the word, like you can't shop the brand right now, but it's amazing. It still has its vibrant community online. They still engage and they will be back. I have no doubt. So Simi, like I said before, she's a creative. Through her writing and creative direction and speaking, she really shares from the heart, and that invites people to share with her. And she's like your biggest cheerleader and women empowerment and all of the above. And I'm really excited for you to listen to this episode. It had such a deep impact on me. I do want to give you a little bit of context. We jumped right in, and there's so much to cover and to talk about that I didn't stop the flow with some like general context questions. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a brief overview so you can listen to the episode and be able to follow, which I think you will anyway. But Simi, 7 years ago, lost her husband, Shua, which she will talk about. And then she talks about her journey through that and then navigating her business through that. And then a few years ago, she got remarried and more recently got divorced from her second husband, Yaniv. So I want to just give you the names and the context. And what you will hear from her is just a gorgeous expression of real, true life and showing up day in and day out, good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. So please enjoy. Today's episode is dedicated by a loving family in honor of Pesel Rivka Bas Hudya. May Hashem bless this incredible woman with a full recovery and arichos yamim v'shanim taives, long and healthy years till 120, and may her husband merit continued nachas from all her children and grandchildren with gladdened hearts.
Okay.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. How's the clock change day treating you?
You know, I feel so rested. I don't know.
Why?
I don't know why I feel so rested. I think I had like a 2-hour nap on Shabbos.
Mm-hmm.
I went to bed like at 12:20 and I woke up this morning. My kids, none of the devices in my house are working right now, which is for my benefit.
Amazing.
And not for my benefit.
Yeah, I know.
It's because it meant I was woken up, but they woke me up at 7:30 and I was like, no devices. And then I slept till 9 and then my kids are at that age.
Yes.
And it was a good day.
Oh, I love to hear that. My son walks into my bedroom 7:30 a.m. on the new clock, which is really 6:30 on a Saturday night. And I'm like, but why? He's also almost 12. Like, why? And then I find out, which I don't know if you have this as like a mom thing, but his alarm was on. And I was like, you could have slept longer?
Oh,
Like, this is why you were up, because your alarm was on from the weekday. I literally had a conniption, and my husband's like, what is wrong with you? He's up. His alarm went on. No big deal. I'm like, but he could have slept longer. He could have had more sleep. Like,
I feel you.
it triggers me. I'm like, why would you have your alarm on? It's from school. I don't know. I'm like, it's Sunday. I don't get it. Anyway, so I'm tired because I never go to bed early Saturday night, because till you unwind from Shabbos, like, it's automatically a late night no matter what.
Yeah,
and I teach a Tanya class at 9:30 a.m., which is really 8:30.
Yeah.
So just getting up and being prepared and getting out so early, I was like, I'm tired.
That's a lot. That's a lot on a Sunday morning with kids. And what do the kids do while you do that?
So my husband's with the kids when I'm at Tanya. And then I came home and I sent them off to their ski lessons, which my husband takes them to. And then he sits in the lodge and works, and they ski. And it's amazing. But it's still like getting them out. You would think they haven't skied every Sunday of their lives. It's, where's your ski pass? Where's your boots? Where's your gloves? And it's like 45 minutes of chaos, and then they're out the door.
Well, I appreciate, tell your husband I say thank you for doing this on a Sunday.
I appreciate you so much. I know that you have so much going on, and it's a busy season, and this week is Purim, which is why another reason why we're recording on Sunday. You look stunning. It's amazing. I was like, I better show up looking decent, because Simi always looks gorgeous. So I got to put in some effort here.
Okay, so this one, I look better, but the background's not as good. I'll just go to the other one. It's fine.
You look great.
You know what? I'm just grabbing a different chair because I
whatever makes you most comfortable, that's where we want you.
Okay. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Is it sunny today by you? It looks like there's...
Chavie, it's sunny every day by me.
I should not be asking this question.
Honestly, when it's like a little bit... Sorry, I'm just fixing my hair as I talk to you too.
No, it's all good.
Oh, okay. That's better.
There we go.
Like that. Okay.
Perfect.
When it's a little bit gray outside, I welcome it. I'm like, when it's like raining and gray, I'm like, oh, thank God.
That's so interesting, because for me, living here, any ounce of sun, we're like, stand outside. Like, we need to get it all in. Even though Bozeman happens to be...
It looks sunny.
It's sunny today. For the winter, we actually have a nice amount of days of sun, even though it could be freezing. But there's also a lot of cold gray days, and I'm such a sun, like, I need the sun or else I start to like shrivel. Okay, here we are. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to have the opportunity to talk to you, hear your story in a more in-depth way. And honestly, like, I've been such an admirer from afar, just over social media, and I've always felt aligned and connected to how you show up and present yourself and your story and who you are. You show up with who you are. And I've always admired that. And then we got to know each other a little bit more through the collab with Aligned. And I'm finally like, okay, I'm asking.
Yay. Oh my gosh. I'm so honored that you asked me. You know, I think the first time I met you was years ago. It must have been around 7 years ago. I was at a Frock pop-up shop the first time I met you in person.
I remember that.
It was already after Shua had passed away. And I think when I had met you, I had read something of yours. I didn't know the full story, but I had read something. And when I saw you in person, something inside of me felt so seen, because I think at the time I really needed to see other human beings who I could say, they did it. They did it too. Who, like, I needed to see that there was someone else that had like held on to something by a thread. And I was like, if they can do it, okay, I'm human too. This is so insanely hard. And it was like, seeing you, it wasn't just like, wow, she's so inspiring. It was like, okay, that's another human who's done it. I can see her. And that's, I will never forget that like moment.
Wow. I'm so honored and touched and humbled, because I feel very much the same way. And it's like you said, it's another human being human. right?
Yeah.
Another human being human. It's not about being inspired, or I guess you just like, you see the mess a little bit. It's just not showing up when everything is figured out and it's all packaged in a neat bow, or you're feeling better. It's like in the journey of the mess of it all.
And there you are doing something very normal, smiling in a shop, shopping. And I was like, wait, people go through really hard things and still do normal things. I was like, and it helped me just like breathe for a moment. It was just a moment of deep soul recognition. And I was like,
wow.
Okay, yeah, I will never forget that. Remember that.
Well, thank you. I did not expect that. So, like I said, you've shown up in such a beautiful way through all your journey and through your mess. I want to know, Simi, growing up, like, how did you get here? Like, I know you grew up in Australia, right?
I don't know why I'm already emotional. Before I even start that, I think I just want to share, I had the craziest but amazing morning.
Oh,
yeah. And I
please
was like,
share.
I need to tell someone. I'm going to tell Chavie.
Okay.
This morning, I had an open house, and I knew I had to be out of my house early with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids have tennis lessons every Sunday morning, standing. The tennis coach canceled. I was like, damn, that would have been like a good hour for them to be there. He canceled. I took them out early. I was like, where are we going to go? I was like, guys, let's just go see the ocean for a bit. Boring. It's boring. It's boring. I was like, you know what? I've never taken you to this marine, tiny little wildlife little park. Let's go there for 20 minutes till the Shul program starts.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I get there. There was nowhere to park. It's a Sunday beach day. I park illegally. We go for 5 minutes. Sophia's like, I don't want to walk all the way to the marine park. I was like, okay, let's just go to the Shul program. It's starting soon anyway. We get back. Josh is like, there's a police guy. He's giving you a ticket. I was like, let's run. We run there. I was like, I'm just leaving. He's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. I won't give you the ticket. He was so nice. Drove to Shul. No one's there. I was like, what? I have a podcast. I could have sworn this thing is on. I looked at my phone. They had postponed it an hour, 2 to 4 instead of 1 to 3. Get there. I was like, okay, guys, we can't go home. Let's just figure out the next thing to do for an hour. I get a text from the tennis coach. You guys want to do tennis now? I was like, yes.
Yes.
Because you said to me, Simi, come relax. I was like, if I'm going to be with my kids till the second I go, it's going to be like just harder. Mm-hmm. Drop my kids at tennis. I go for a 40-minute walk. I still had like an hour till I could go to my house. I went to drive to go get a coffee. I went there. The entire intersection is closed. I'm stuck in traffic for half an hour because there's like an event going on. I end up cutting the traffic, getting home. I couldn't get home yet because of my open house.
Yeah.
I was like, let me stop by the lake. I stop by the lake. I lie down on the bench. This old little man comes over with a wind instrument. And he starts sitting there for half an hour playing. And I just lay there and I was like, he came there for me. Everything worked out. The person coming to pick up my kids was actually running an hour late. So it was perfect. And I got home and I was like, it was just a sequence of miracle moments that happened this morning that got me here. And when I lay down on the bench, I lay there for a minute and I was like so excited to do this podcast. And I felt this moment of like emotion because like it's taken so much to get here.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about my childhood, like I had the best childhood. Mm-hmm. Fun. I grew up by the beach in Sydney, Australia. It was Coogee Beach. My dad still is the longest standing rabbi in Sydney. He's the rabbi of Coogee Shul over 40 years.
Wow. And
I just had, if I could like sum up my childhood in 3 words, it would be like solid, stable, and loving. I'm going to add a 4th, and fun. It was fun. I love my siblings. We had the best fun. And we also fought. We fought. Mm-hmm. And I also developed an anxious nervous system when I was little, even with the best childhood, you know. My mom has like a really high energy, and so does my dad. I never saw as a child how to emotionally regulate from the outside. I never saw that. But just fun, loving, like Shabbos, chaos, hectic. Not chaos, hectic, fun, vibrant.
Fun chaos, happy chaos.
Fun chaos, like lighting. This was my house. We lit Shabbos candles. I turned around.
Yeah.
Lighting Shabbos candles, Erev Friday was always like a mad rush. It wasn't like, we know that we have Shabbos coming. We know that we're going to go to Shul every week.
This is not a surprise.
It's not a surprise. Every week without fail, it was like screaming, it's Shabbos, it's candle lighting. So it was like hectic, fun, and it was safe. It was really safe.
You know, it's so interesting because I hear you saying this and it's like, wow, I have such a similar experience. And it's very interesting to grow up, especially nowadays when there's so much inner child work being talked about, and also having trauma later in life. And I have a very similar experience. Like my childhood was amazing, right? Of course, we pick up things and our parents are not perfect. And of course, we're going to have like the complicated relationships that develop and almost kind of show up more as an adult than as a child.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah. And I think it's the first person I've kind of heard say out loud, like my childhood was great. And I always struggle with the whole inner child work thing because that's not where I feel like my work is. How do we approach adults like you and me who had a really stable, safe, grounded childhood and then later in life experience such difficult things? And I think when you have a grounded childhood, I think there is merit to that. And it does give you a little bit of a foundation to go on.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that every day. And it's just an interesting thing to go through trauma or to go through really difficult things as an adult, but not have to link it back to your childhood.
Yeah. You know, what's so interesting? I'm going to say this and I hate saying it, but I didn't really do the work until Shua passed away. Because I was really lucky that and I was younger is what we knew at the time. Shua held, I'm going to say, so much of my SHIT. He held it for his good and his bad, meaning he had the ability to hold it and it also affected him. And it also meant that I didn't do as much. I mean, I don't like saying at the time because I don't want to I don't want to
invalidate whatever.
I did the best as I could, but he held so much of my SHIT throughout our entire marriage. And so I didn't need to look at my own mess as much. I really didn't. And it wasn't until I really became like a single parent, a solo parent, where I didn't have his calmness, his stillness, his foundation to lean on. I was like, all my stuff, my childhood, my whacked out nervous system.
Yes.
I was like, oh my goodness, I am the sole parent. I'm the only one that my children sees. And this relationship is not going to be the one I hope it to be if I don't take accountability and like do something about this inside. And I never had to do it because Shua was just that parent that I just leaned on. And of course I was so loving, but like in terms of like my nervous system and regulation, I didn't deal with it as much until I was really forced to.
Yeah. And I feel like that happens a lot. You have to be forced to do this work. I don't know.
Do you? I don't do something.
I don't know. I feel like you do. Okay.
It's been my question of all time. I was like, can we break our layer? Can we reach our next level of soul, our next level of our potential without the really, really hard stuff? Can we?
I don't know. It's a very good question. I wrestle with this all the time. And I don't know, from life experience, I don't think so. I don't think so. Like I give you an example just recently and you'll hear about, like, I recorded a podcast with my husband that's coming out very soon. And I kind of mentioned it there as well in the intro outro because it happened after. But my husband and I got into this, I don't know what to call it. I said argument. He's like, it wasn't an argument. It was a war. We were in a war. Like we had a war and it was deep, right? And it wasn't surface level. It happened. It got triggered by something so silly, a misunderstanding or a hurt feeling or whatever. And then it went so deep, so fast. And it was intense.
Wow.
Like we haven't had that in a very long time. And it was like 3 days. That's a long time, right? To be at war with your spouse.
Yeah.
And then, okay, we needed to go our separate ways, figure it out. And when we were ready to like really have the conversation and talk, so much of it really spoke to what was actually underneath it all and worked it out. We have some experience. We have a marriage therapist who's on maternity leave and abandoned us, but we have tools, you know? And afterwards I was like, Hamsha, like, I think we got to a whole new level.
Yeah.
And why would that happen without the adversity? How would that happen?
It wouldn't. You're right. It's true.
Don't know.
I know.
But you look around and you're like, can we just be happy or evolved how come status quo can't be fine? Sometimes I wonder, like, why do we always have to do the work? Why can't we just not do the work and everything just be fine?
Chavie, me and you would be bored.
We'd be bored.
There'd be like a tickle, there'd be a rumbling, there'd be a wrestle. We would hear spirits. We'd hear the spirits. Our soul would be talking to us. We'd see the leaves. The leaves would be talking to us, and we'd be like, no. We need more.
I 100% agree. I actually told my husband, I'm like, what kind of relationship would it be if we just always were on the same page and agreed? I'm like, God, how boring would that be? And I literally said that out loud. So it's true. There's a certain personality. What's your birthday?
I'm June 21st. I'm Cancer Gemini cusp.
Okay. So I'm a Leo.
I don't know enough. I want to know more, but I don't.
I also don't know enough. And I'm just always so interested in discovering more. But Leos, I think what I've been told, and I have 3 Leo signs, is that they thrive on a little bit of chaos. Because I was asking my therapist once, I'm like, why do I keep attracting chaotic scenarios or just really difficult experiences? And I was like, what is it about me? And each one you can kind of be like, okay, that's that person's and that's thing. But I'm like, I'm the common denominator here. Like, what is it about me? And I think what I've started to learn is the way that I experience the world, or the way in which I reach my full potential, is through these things.
I was going to say, do you think it's like Chavie as in this life, or do you feel like this is your soul trying to, like, this was destined before your soul was put into Chavie body? It knew that this was that there was going to be this.
For sure. I think it's a soul thing. And I think it's in the stars. It's like this soul was born at a certain time that has certain energies for a reason. And when you understand that, you can tap into those energies. Number one, you kind of have more clarity in what your mission is.
Yeah.
And you also understand your flaws and know where to work, and not beat yourself up over them and be like, oh, this is part of who I am. This is my work. This is my work.
We don't have to fight things as much.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I feel like I'm in that space right now. I'm not fighting things as much. I'm like, okay, it's less fighting, and it's nicer. There's more fun when there's less fighting.
Do you have this feeling where you just want to live your best life, and and no matter what comes before your ways, like, you will have those down moments and you will feel like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this anymore. But it always comes back to, for me, is like, even in this circumstance that I was given today, how do I live my best life? I want to have fun.
Yeah. You want to have fun.
I
didn't, I think I, like, going back to childhood, teenagehood, young adulthood, I did. I was just like thirsty to live my life, and I loved having fun and being with friends and family. And then my chapter with Shua was that shut it down so deeply that I didn't know how to be anymore in this world, because I was not used to operating when there was like a no to everything I had ever thought I wanted. It was just like, no more. So now in this chapter of my life, the fact that I've come back to this space of like, yes, this might be really hard, but I'm the only one that's going to go to sleep in my bed, that's going to wake up in my bed. I am going to design my life so I feel good. Like, no one else is living it at the end of the day. I could be angry at this and angry at that and sad about this. Like, I'm the only one that's living my life. So I may as well make it a really good one.
A really good one.
Yeah.
Wow. It's everything. So when Shua passed away and everything comes crashing down, like you said, in an instant, it's like everything in your life is like hard stop.
Yeah, hard stop.
Hard stop. And then you realize, okay, I'm the sole parent for my children. And I want to show up in a way that I feel proud of. And I don't have my spouse to lean on, because it's so true. As partners, like, one is good at this and one is good at that. And, you kind of balance each other out. And all of a sudden you're like, everything's on you. What did that look like? Like, how did you, first of all, crawl out of that grief to even be aware enough to know that this is what you needed to do?
So it kind of happened in stages.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when I say like everything was a no, like my body was functioning out of memory. My body was functioning out of memory, and my motherly roles was functioning out of something else kicked in.
Autopilot.
I wasn't even thinking about how to be a good parent at that time. It was like, number one, a part of me, let's say 20% of me was like, everything else can die and stay dead and dormant, but it felt dead. But Simi, 20% has to be breathing because you have children and it's not their fault that their dad died. So it wasn't even like, are you going to be this type of parent?
A present mom, a show up.
It wasn't like present, show up. It was like, just be mother.
Yeah.
Just be mother. I had a lot of help around. I had a full-time nurse for Joshie, who was born 4 months later.
Right. Oh my gosh, I can't. You gave birth after.
Yeah, I was 4 months pregnant when Shua died. Yeah.
I don't even know. How are you I don't even know.
Sometimes keep me on track, by the way, because I'll be jumping around. But
that's okay.
When I meet people, when I just meet like a random stranger and they're like, oh, are you married? They'll just ask a natural question. They'll see me with children. They'll say, what about your husband? I'll be like, oh, I'm not married. They'll be like, oh, where's your husband? So I start at the beginning. I just say, oh, my husband passed away 7 years ago. If it's a stranger, I was like, my husband
go into details.
away.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I don't want to dwell on it because I'm like, so I say to them, I'm like, yeah, thank you. And then we move on. And then the part of me feels like a 3-second stating what happened in a conversation doesn't even nearly do it justice, obviously, but that's what life is. And I'm not about to like get it. And I even like double take myself and I'd be like, Simi, this is 7 years later. Look what you just said. Look what you're doing. And I'm like, whoa. There was a time where you didn't think you were going to make it. So going back to that motherly instinct kicked in. And I even like my dad said to me one day, I was in Australia a few months later, he's like, Simi, you have to get up. No one, after Shua died, no one said anything to me. No one said I had to do anything. Everyone knew I had the excuse for anything. And they were also terrified. They were like, no, Simi gets an excuse for anything. But my dad said to me, he's like, you have to get up today. You have kids. And I cried to him. I was like, I can't. He's like, you have to. It was the first time someone had said something to me that you have to do this. So that was the first stage. Motherly instinct just kicked in. Because for that first year, I dove into Hashem every day to take my life and my kids. I was like, just take us all together. I like dreamed about it. I was like, I imagined driving and like would fly into the sky. And then the kids would be like, Mama, you're not on the road anymore. Like, where are you going? And I'd be like, going to see Daddy. And that was the only time I'd get relief, was when I would think about that. And then I think after about a year, I was like, maybe I'm davening for the wrong thing because Hashem's not listening to that particular prayer.
It's like, wrong prayer, Simi.
Wrong prayer. I was like on the plane with my kids to Australia, and I was like, I kind of felt guilty for everyone else on the plane, but this is my honest truth. I'd be like, if the plane went down right now with me and my kids, I've had a good life.
I'd be okay. Yeah.
I'm like, I'd be okay. We're all together. Yeah. And then I would feel some guilt. Like, how could I do that to my kids? Like, what if they want to live their life? They're too young to choose. What about everyone else on the plane? And then after a year, I woke up one morning. I'm like, I like thought about my dad, Ani. I'm like, Hashem woke me up again. I think he's going to keep waking me up for a very long time. I need to change this prayer. It's not working. And that's when I had that thought that no one is going to sleep in my bed. No one's going to wake up as me. That was like the first moment after about a year of like deep, like there was so much fighting to get that, but there was like a deep accountability accountability of my life, that I am alive. I have 3 children. We're all alive. What are you going to do? You don't have a choice. Hashem's not taking you. And I wasn't suicidal. Thank God. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do different? And what I did different was very slowly, I just started acting the part, going to do things. I started for the first time really going to get my nails done. Even if it meant I sobbed the whole way. I went to a restaurant, and even if my sisters knew that before the food even came, Simi might leave, which I did. Oh, it was painful and dreadful, but I forced my body to do things.
Yeah. Wow. That is resilience at its core, right? Just pulling yourself up out of the ashes. And I love what you said is like, what's your choice? At the end of the day, I experienced this, and my story is so different than yours, obviously, and on such a different level. But when people say, oh my gosh, you're so amazing, and and I'm like,
that voice.
What was I supposed to do? Like, no one asked me. No one asked me, like, you don't have a choice. Like, you're here. You've got to do it. And
the choice would be to have a miserable life.
Right.
It would be to have a miserable life, and then my kids would have a miserable life. And then I realized, I'm like, if I'm going to be here anyway, I didn't know what it meant, because I couldn't even imagine not having a miserable life if Shua wasn't alive, because that was my prerequisite. I was like, if Shua's not alive, my life's going to suck.
Right.
So I was like, okay, so my life's going to suck. And then I was like, what does it mean to have a good life if Shua's not alive and he's not doing it with me? That heartbreak of having to like accept that I had to do it without him took years.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's still such an ongoing process of life.
Yeah, it's different. The acceptance of life and what life is really about, that life really is so close to death, which I didn't know. I didn't understand until Shua died. I didn't understand that our life, this world that we all live in, it's like this close to death. And on the one hand, I feel so privileged that I really understand what that means. I feel like I was picked and chosen to really understand what it means that life lives right by death. And so when I fully kept on just like understanding that, living with that, the acceptance just became deeper and deeper into my body. It doesn't take away the sadness.
Yeah.
But it takes away the excruciating torment.
Yeah. It's like the difference between pain and suffering.
Yeah. Oh, huge.
We don't get to choose the painful moments we have and the real journey and the things that Hashem puts before us that we don't have choice of, but we do eventually get to decide if we're going to suffer from the pain.
Yeah. I loved being a victim. Not that I loved it. I even knew as a kid, because my parents thought and still think that their children are the best. Like to the point where it's like, you guys, you're so talented and you're the best at this and you're the best at that. And my kids don't need therapy, from a place of love.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
You're amazing. You're fine. So on the one hand, I just had a brain freeze. Where was I going with this?
Yeah, you were saying on the one hand, your parents were, you were the best.
Yeah. So on the one hand, it gave me this confidence that we can do it. And on the other hand, there wasn't really much space for feeling the pain.
Yeah.
There wasn't space for feeling the pain. And if we did, our parents wanted us to snap out of it. And from generations, like I can touch the victimhood in my family line very deep, very deep. I can touch a deep victim mentality. So it was so easy for me to slip into that and say, well, you know what? I deserve to be sad. I deserve to be angry. I deserve to be bitter. I deserve to hate everyone.
Yeah.
When I would hear, and I'm not even ashamed to say this because it was really my truth at the time. The first year, I would hear people be like, oh, Mazel Tov, that person just got married. Oh, Mazel Tov, they just had a baby. My initial reaction was, I don't know if there was much space between pain, sadness, and anger, but it was just so fast.
Yeah.
Why didn't Shua get to do that? Why didn't my kids get to have their dad there? And so I lived with this narrative for a really long time, however it is. And I remember it was my second trip to Australia. I went home and my siblings always tried to be around me as much as they could. So when I went to Sydney, my brothers with their wives and kids would come and they would be like visiting at my mom's house and I would be there. And I remember distinctly, there was this moment where I saw my nephew, who was probably 7 at the time. He said to my brother, he's like, Daddy, pass me this or pass me that. I was so jealous. It wasn't like, oh, I'm jealous. I want to aspire to be that. It was this like jealous that turned into bitterness that turned into rage, that turned into, I don't know where it was, how it was. And I was just like, there was this almost loathing that I had. I'm holding onto the table right now because it was such a big moment. And at the same time, I was like, that's my brother. And that's his son.
And you don't want to have those negative feelings
Yeah, I was like,
around that.
it's not his fault Shua died.
Yeah.
He didn't want Shua to die. It was such a tiny, regular life moment, but it had a profound impact on me. And at that moment, I made a conscious decision. And I was like, Simi, I am not going to be bitter at the world, because I understood that it was no one's fault that Shua died. And the bitterness only has a place when I believe that it's other people's responsibility, it's their fault. But when I was like, if Hashem asked everyone else, do you want Shua to die? They'd be like, no, 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 no. And I was like, everyone really just wants the best for everyone. Deep down, that's what they want. And that was a huge, profound.
So that mundane little thing,
Oof.
That's when they happen. Those huge shifts when like something so mundane happens and you're like, wait a second, do I want to live this way for the rest of my life? Or do I want to not do that?
And then it switched.
Yeah.
To like this deep, deep, deep love. I had like flowing deep, deep, deep love for anyone and everyone. I just had so much space because I touched so.
You went so deep.
Yeah, the people and their own humanity. And that was a big, profound shift in my healing, and me being a mother, me being a person, me being a sister. It was a profound shift, just switching from like the anger. Honestly, it was the same energy.
Yeah.
And it was the same amount. So like I started to realize it was like overflowing into my life. And you know what? I'm so grateful for my friends that stuck by me, no matter how much I kept saying to them, I hate the world. I'm so angry. Hashem is terrible. They never said a word. They just let me be. And you know what? That is, I guess, a huge lesson in healing too. Sometimes we can't rush other people's healing.
I was just going to say, like, don't you think you have to go through that dark and ugly time? Like if you went straight from that to like acceptance and love and looking at the world a certain way, like you have to go through the abyss.
Yeah.
Because then the light that you get afterwards is so truly pure and authentic.
Pure, yeah.
And I feel like if it kind of jumped, it's almost surface level, or you're not really getting through it. You're kind of just bypassing the most important part.
Yeah. Like my soul was literally like schlepped through.
Yeah.
The mud. It was schlepped through, and it was like, it trudged through. And then it finally, like, it was able to like walk out, like slowly, it was crusty, then like washed itself off. And I was like, oh, wait, there's sun. Oh my goodness, there's sun. I want to be in the sun for a little bit.
Wow. I mean, to hear you, oh my gosh, to hear you speak of your experience, it's so deeply impactful. So I'm curious, through this time, your business was still going.
Yeah.
Were you partners with your two sisters or one sister?
Yeah, so I was partners with Chaya.
Yeah.
Chaya and I were always partners. We started together. Tirza came on board a couple of years later to join us.
Yeah.
But I remember when Shua was sick in the hospital, I looked at Chaya and my dear friend Sharon, who was like managing the Frock at the time. And I looked at them and I was like, guys, shut it down.
I remember when you said this on Instagram. And you're like, this is not happening.
Because the doctor said to me, they're like, Simi, Shua's hanging on a thread. Even if he does survive, this recovery is like
brutal.
I didn't even understand what they meant. They said, this is like a lifelong recovery. That's kind of what they said to me. I didn't understand what they meant. I was like thinking about the Nike sneakers I was going to get him to dance out of the hospital a few weeks later with the Sefer Torah for a Sudas Hodah. I was like, I had the whole, I looked at the hospital. I was like, this is where we'll have the party in the courtyard. He'll come down here. He loves these sneakers. He loves this. So I knew, I was like, I can't do work anymore. I said to them, I'm devoting my life now to this. I said, shut it down. Whatever they needed to say to pacify me in the moment, they probably did. And then they were just there for me. And then, when Shua passed away, Frock became Hashem. They say like Hashem provides the cure before.
That's what I was going to ask. Was it a huge part of moving through all of this?
A huge part of my healing, I have realized as a person, as a human, is that I really need to be witnessed.
Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. I'm like, why do I have to be seen for exactly who I am and what I'm going through? Not everybody feels that way, but I'm like, I need people to see not me as a persona, but me.
Yeah. I think I'm this about me, but I wear my heart on my sleeve, not because I need attention, but it's the only way that I feel like my breath can just flow naturally. I'm like, if I'm not saying, no one has to know, I'm not talking about airing the nitties and the gritties.
Exactly.
About that. It just needs to be like, for the most part, then I feel very constricted when I'm pretending.
I've never heard anybody say this before. I literally told my producer, I'm like, if I don't feel like people see me, the real me, and it's just like some kind of veneer or some kind of persona, I can't breathe.
Yeah. It feels constricting.
It feels, suffocating.
If I feel like I'm pretending, it feels suffocating. And, I think there have been times in my life, especially recently, where I really did we didn't talk about this, but post-divorce, I really needed to. And even when my second marriage was going through, I would say, its journey.
Yeah.
When I was traveling on this new journey in my second marriage, I got married 2 years after Shua had passed away. Out of respect for myself, out of my husband at the time, there was a lot that I had to actually keep sacred and protected. And I did not wear my heart on my sleeve. And I felt so constricted. And that was a big part in when Frock and I had to close down Frock. It wasn't when Shua passed away, because Frock at the time, this community on Instagram gave me this, I'm going to say, this is the word that came to my mind. It felt like an elixir when I was able to sit in my bed and I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And I was like, no one understands what I'm going through. Like the level of loneliness felt like my insides were carved out in me. I was like, there's nothing left that I could even touch right now. I just felt so hollow as a person. I wasn't a writer. I never wrote. When I sat there and wrote and then pressed post, there was a deeper breath that I was granted at that moment.
I very much understand that. I can really relate to what you just said in my own experience. And I wrote about it when I had to take Manny to treatment. Almost 5 years ago. And I dropped him off, and it was the worst thing that I ever had to do. And every time I think about it, I get sick to my stomach. Because obviously he's 8 years old and this is the last thing you ever want to do. And he obviously didn't want to go. And so he's screaming and crying and I have to leave. And I get into the Uber to go back to the airport and I'm bawling and the poor Uber driver doesn't know where to stick himself, right? And I just can't. He was so sweet. He's like, I hope it gets better. I'm like, all you see is darkness. Like you don't see how this is going to ever get better. And I remember going to the airport, going to the Delta Lounge and took out my computer. And as I'm crying, I'm writing. And I'm sharing in the exact moment. What does this feel like? And on the one hand, it's like, why would you post something so raw and so in the moment? And it's so easy to judge that. Do you need attention? Like, what is this about? But it's not about the attention at all. You know what? If nobody even read it, I don't know what it would feel like if nobody even read it. But what I do know is
I love when people read it.
We do love when people read it. But what I did know is that it wasn't for that, because what I did was I wrote it and then I turned off my phone.
Wow.
And I turned off for 24 hours. I didn't look at anything that anyone said about it. And trust me, it was coming in because I wanted it to stand alone and I didn't want to be influenced with my own journey about how people were feeling about it.
Yeah.
So when you're saying like an elixir to share from your deepest, rawest self in the moment, there's something that a certain type of person or not everybody needs that and not everybody aligns with that, and that's okay. But it's very, very important and valid for the people that feel that way, like the public, to understand like where is that coming from?
Yeah. And I think especially when it's done in just, well, regardless of what the reason is, I think when we share because there's a desire to, the desire is coming from somewhere. And then I think right away what happens is to the reader, even though the story is obviously so different than their own, something unveils within them too. It's like, there's like a sense of permission to be like, oh, not everyone's happy. Other people go through things. And
permission to feel. You know that book?
Yeah, I heard of it, but I haven't read it.
Yeah. It's like we have permission to feel when somebody else is vulnerable with their emotions.
Yeah. Especially when they see someone who seems like their life is together, who's smiling, who looks good, who's dressed well. It's like, wait, do they have the perfect life? It's validating. It feels like this support group where you don't actually have to show up in person. It's like, oh, okay.
I see you.
Yeah, I see you. And people feel, You know, there was a part of me that because I was already on Instagram and social media, I specifically did not want to go on there and smile and be like, oh, look at this new dress I'm selling. I was like, I don't want people to think that I'm happy when I'm not.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
And I don't know where that comes from because I was like, what did I get? Like, because it felt very important for me for, I guess, my own sense of like, I need people to know how bad this is. And that was like the beginning chapter. And then after a while, I was like, it actually doesn't matter. I can tell myself and see myself. First, I externally needed to be seen for like how bad it was.
Yeah.
And then it came to this point of like physical things in my home. Different things that I write or do not write will never be a measure of what I had and what I lost. And it took me a very long time to realize that because
it can't be measured.
Yes, it can never be measured. And I was like, this is mine. This was my gift. This was my love. People can have all different things to say. And it was hard for me. Like even someone once made a comment. I made a speech after a year for Mic Drop, called Mic Drop, talking about my experience. And someone made a comment, and you know, it still stuck with me. They said, it's way too soon for you to be getting up and doing that. So at the time, it was so hard to feel that. I was like, do they think that I am not as sad?
Okay.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
And so those type of things were really hard for me to hold. It was really hard for me to hold. And
what did you tell yourself in those moments?
Oh, what did I tell myself in those moments? First, I had to work through this shame that like landed. I was like, I felt like a sense of shame for thinking that maybe they were right. Maybe they were right. It wasn't my voice at all, but this voice was like, oh, you're letting go, you're moving on, you're moving forward, you're forgetting. There was this shame.
Guilt and
I was terrified. Deep down, I knew that it wasn't true, but I still had to like see it, work through it, and then be like, that's not mine. But it didn't happen overnight. It took a while.
Because shame is the most, I don't even know how to say this, like scariest, most detrimental emotion, the thing that derails us, the thing that we're scared of. Shame is just, whew, and it's hard to separate. Well, that's not me.
So hard to separate.
It takes so much intention and work and space to be able to separate it and be like, you know, that's actually not my shame, or that's not it's not my story.
Yeah. And when we hold shame, what happens is it so clearly comes out to the way we react to our spouse, our child. It literally is a driving force. And there was an element of that when I met my second husband. There was an element of that. There was, you know, even before I met him, when I had these moments of, I'll never marry anyone ever again because I'll never find love again. And say at the same deep down moments of, I will not survive if I don't find love, because that's what I want in this life. And when I had those moments, I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed of those moments. I didn't know where to put them. I was so uncomfortable. I was like, how could you? Your husband that you love and that you were married for almost 10 years, how could you even think of getting remarried?
Replacing that.
Yeah, it was so hot. That was so, I felt like that made me feel sick at times.
Yeah.
About that.
Okay, so the frock was basically part of the way that you survived and had this space to really wear your heart on your sleeve. Obviously, no one sees everything.
Yeah.
And in that time, would you say that, I mean, I would, from the outside, like business thrived through that? Because creatively, like you had somewhere to put that stuff.
Oh my gosh, creatively, there was this huge flow, and it was coming from such a deep place that, like, I'm so grateful. The creative part of my soul and my body was just like alive. We would have these launches that were based around these like deep, deep, deep themes.
I remember, and your try-ons and I was such a huge fan.
Thank you. Thank you. You have been, you really did.
Yeah.
You've been such an amazing fan all along, but like creatively, it was so fun and it gave me such a drive. I remember like I'd go to a photo shoot, I'd look up at the sun and be like, Shua, look, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And I would cry. And then I would get there and I'd be like in my zone, in my element. We'd make these videos and just like the things that we would produce, I just
came from your soul. Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. It was from our soul. We created, and there was this like burning drive. And it, you know what? The frock was always based on like a soul calling.
Yeah.
It was always a soul calling to be like, I hated when Jewish women were either seen as less than or felt less than or felt like they couldn't have it all. I felt like
restricted.
Yeah. As like if a Jewish woman looked at Vogue and be like, it's never going to be for me. I was like, no, that's wrong. It can be. I wanted it because my soul, my animal soul loves this physical world. I love physical things. I love fashion. I love designers. I love jewelry. I love opulence. I love abundance. It's just like, that's
oh my God, you are my soul sister.
Yeah,
I
really
like, wow,
do.
I sometimes tell my husband, I'm like, I'm so materialistic.
I'm so materialistic.
Like, I love all this stuff. What does it say about me?
Yeah, and you know, I love beautiful homes with like beautiful interior architecture. Just like,
yeah,
I love all these things. And it was really, it like channeled that. The frock channeled that. Well, to begin with, it was already that like spiritual, it was from that foundation, but it's hard to upkeep that when you're like in the nitty gritties of like running a business and creating content and making sure you hit deadlines and
make sure you're like not losing money.
Yeah, make sure you're not losing money. It's like, wait, I feel like I'm running on a treadmill. What's the spiritual meaning behind what we're doing again at that time? So this new wave of me pouring so much of my life energy and passion back into the frock really filled my cup and was a huge part of my healing. And I will forever be so grateful for the women like you, women who really cheered me on and championed our success and our growth and who really held both of what the frock was. It was like Simi and Chaya and their lives and this like fabulous clothing that we're wearing. So I felt so seen, and it was really like physically, emotionally, the frock was a gift from Hashem. So I'm so grateful to the whole community.
Yeah. You know, you had a very special and unique way of merging your business and your personal life, which I think made it so enticing and so like you wanted to be a part of it. I am curious, just this is a side little question, just because I have a lot of siblings, and I'm just curious what it's like to work with your siblings on such a day-to-day basis. What was that like?
You know, I'm so grateful that you're asking me this question now, because Chai and I used to get asked this question years ago.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, oh, that's such a boring question.
Yeah.
But now looking back,
What really was it?
I'm going to say it took a lot of work. It took a lot of
like
work.
a marriage, right?
Yeah. It took a lot of work to really hold space, because when you're working with your sibling, there could be something on for like, this is public so I can share it. But like when we were running the frock in the beginning, Chaya was going through her own journey of her husband suffered so I don't know if you say suffers from addiction. He's been sober for many, many, many years. And like that whole relationship, Chaya being the spouse of someone who was going through
struggling,
is really struggling, played into the business. And it's like, what is the role of a sister to, number one, not overstep, to number two, say, are you showing up here? Is he showing up there? Like, where are you going to be like a supportive sister, but are you going to be accountable on a business level? And Chaya, the same for me. Chaya, the same for me. Like, it really took tremendous work as individuals. In the beginning, I would even say like the way we dealt with like arguments and fights, we're like way more immature than as we evolved. We've had like serious discussions, and I'm not going to say wars, but arguments about like deep things, whether it's money and
it's like a value, right? Like sometimes you're arguing about a deep core value.
yeah, and it could have started off from something as simple as
Yep.
which font are we going to use?
Yes.
And then ouch, the way we
Yep.
react as sisters can come up, and it could really peel back that, am I talking about her husband? Is she talking about this in me? And like, what is actually going on? So it's taken a lot of work. And to the point now where when I just did a line with Sheva, this is so interesting. Chaya and I have not been working on the Frock itself, like producing clothing and running that business for almost 3 years.
Wow.
And in that space, we each have been doing like different creative
things.
projects. And I started working for Aligned. After a few weeks, I called Chaya and I said to her, I was like, I just want to say I'm sorry. She's like, what? I said, Sheva's not my sister. And we have an amazing work relationship. But there are certain things that if you did what she did, and you have, because you're a human, I had very little space and patience.
Tolerance.
Whereas for Sheva, I had all the patience in the world because she's not my sister. And so I said to her, I'm like, I'm learning so much with this relationship with Sheva that I want to bring when we do the Frock again. I want to bring it back because we're sisters, yes, but we're also business partners and we're also two humans. And so
beautiful.
And so I called her, I was like, there were times where my fuse would be like gone like that. Like I could show all the emotional regulation that in the world to my husband and to my friend, but to my sister, where like all my shit could get out because I knew that I would do that. And she'd be like, actually, that's not okay. And vice versa. And so we've done the mess and we do the mess. And at the end of the day, like, I think what our parents instilled in us, and it's the reason why we were able to go on this incredible siblings trip which,
oh my God, I was like, oh, the dream to do something like that.
Like we laughed and cried for 7 days. And there were moments where there was like a moment in the car where someone made a comment about a song. Oh, it was talking about a restaurant. Which restaurant are we going to get to? Then it came down to, this was an expensive restaurant. That was a cheaper. It peeled back certain layers and then things got said.
Yeah.
And for 7 of us together, we're driving, we're on like Fish Echad, whatever it is in Israel, and there's nowhere to go. As siblings, we talked about it. So we're in the car. There was quiet, there was loud, there was arguments. It was work. And then when we got to the gas station, we hugged it out. So at the end of the day, I think I want to attribute it
to my gift to do that.
And to Hashem.
Yeah.
That there is a foundation, but there's a foundation that feels like no matter what, we have to repair. We're going to repair. But yeah, it takes work and it's love. It's love that is seen that love takes work. That's it.
Exactly. And it's messy sometimes.
Yes, messy.
It's messy. It's not always just like love and rainbows and unicorns. It's messy and it's deep. Wait, so do you think the Frock's going to come back?
Yeah, it's a deep soul calling. I have a vision.
Okay.
I'm a visionary person. Like that's how I see things. What's interesting is that since the Frock has taken usually a sabbatical is 1 year. And at the time it was one of the hardest, but also the most right. It felt so right to do at the time.
You knew that you had to do it.
Yeah, I knew that I had to. Chaya knew, like it was a resounding yes for both of us. There was a lot to mourn. And through this journey of taking a step back, doing different creative projects, I'm now seeing it once again from a place of soul desire, not from a place of we have to because we need to make money. We have to do this because these clothes don't exist. We have to do this because how else are we going to support ourselves? It's coming from like, oh no. And obviously all those drives are important. Be financially
definitely
successful and stable. It's important, but the vision for it to come back, there's less of a fight. It's not like, it's like, oh, it's meant to be there. And the vision is that it feels like, I think our role will be different in like how entrenched we are in the running, which feels like such a beautiful freedom to really now acknowledge. But the frock in and of itself and what it stands for, a Jewish woman deserves to feel like she can have the abundance and beauty that she wants. That needs
airtime.
That needs airtime. And me and Chaya we have really good taste.
Yeah.
And so I haven't seen that it's come out in the same way that my vision wants it to be seen in. I want like modest fashion to really be on par with other brands. And I want modest fashion to feel really good for my soul. And I'm like, okay, there's a space for it. There's a space for it. And it's just about the divine timing of it, the right timing of it.
Yeah.
And now being like a solo mom, it's like, I can't run my own business. Not I can't.
You don't want to.
I don't want to run my own business right now, today. I don't know about tomorrow, but for today, I don't have the capacity with like my life infrastructure right now. Like I don't have family around and I love my life and I'm so grateful, and for today, I don't have the capacity to run my own business yet today.
I love the yet because so many times we're like, we can't do that. And it's like, you know what? Not yet. It doesn't mean never. And it doesn't mean you have to, but right now.
Yeah. And like, I don't know exactly what that iteration will look like, but
right.
I can feel and see the texture of it. Like me and Chai, like I've already thought about like the soul of it, what it feels like. We're like, yeah. That's a resounding yes.
And I love because there's no like a hard, like we have to by this time have a business up and running again. You are making a lot of space for it to really come to you in that most pure, natural way. I always think about this because in life, we're called to do so much growth and so much work and so much change. And sometimes I'm like, well, if you don't slow down and actually pause and give yourself the time and the process to transform and change, or to even know what you, God, the universe is asking of you, you're never going to get there. You have to slow down. And it's so hard too, because it's very hard for me to slow down. I move fast. I don't like to dwell. I was just speaking about this with my therapist. I'm like, I finally figured out where the missing link is for me, because I can feel my feelings. I understand my feelings. I don't run away from them. I can sit with them, but not for long because I move fast. So it almost feels like, okay, I'm done. I felt it. I feel it. And off we go to the next thing because I'm like, I don't like to dwell. And what's the point of dwelling? Like I already know that I accept what Hashem has given me. So now what do I do with it? And I realized like the missing piece is like, I am not sitting with it long enough to even hear what Hashem wants from me.
Yeah, and only you can say that and know that, because only you can know what long enough means.
Right.
Like only you can know what does it mean long enough. And I think there's like a balance there, because sometimes our body, we can only handle what we can handle at that moment.
Oh, for sure. Yes. It's like a protective mechanism that keeps you safe. But when you're able and aware enough, you have to stretch it a little, right?
Now you can stretch. Yeah, now you can stretch it. Yeah,
exactly.
Now you can stretch it. And now almost you're going to be like, not that you want to be here, but you'll enjoy the stretching of it as much, because it's not going to be the suffering. It's going to be the stretching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I used to be terrified of that stretching. And now it's like, I feel like I'm in a stretching moment. A part of me is in a stretching moment now. And I'm like, okay.
But you have to talk yourself through it. Like every day you're like, okay, I'm doing this and it's okay. And I can do this. And I actually see the benefits of it.
And we can't think, I can't think that like, I always need those reminders. I need the daily reminders.
Me too.
Because after a day or two or three, I can be like, wait, what happened? I'm all the way back to square one. It's like, in order to continue doing the work and to be with what is, we need those reminders. And for me, it could be what type of things remind me? 10-minute break just to breathe. Literally a 10-minute break just to like put on meditation playlist and breathe. It's like, okay, it's really hard and it's okay. Yeah. That allows me to stay in a stretch.
I mean, the meditation and the breathing, we don't want to hear about it anymore because we talk about it so much, but there is nothing else. There's nothing else like it.
Yeah, and for me, a meditation doesn't even have to go so deep. It could just regulate my pumping heart, my nervous system. So people's like, what do you meditate about? And like, how deep do you go? I tell them, I was like, some days it's literally just for me to get back into my body and be like, I can tell my system, my body, there's no rush. You are safe. You're okay. We can breathe properly. So when you go clean the kitchen and the rest of the thing, you don't have to hold your breath. It could be as simple as just like regulating my nervous system. Like, oh yeah, I feel good. Okay, I got this. It doesn't have to be so deep.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to ask you, you shared so beautifully your reality pretty recently of your divorce after your second marriage. And I'm sure anyone who's seen it, it was like, you know, what comes from the heart goes to the heart. It was such a heart and soul share. I want to touch on that for a second. Just, I mean, obviously deserves a lot more than a second. But here you are, 2 years after Shua has passed. You are entering another relationship, and that has its journey, and then it ends in divorce.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to ask. Like, how do you navigate that? How does that feel?
Well, for the first, like even when you just said that to me, and I think I'm still working through that, there is a part of me that does not want divorce to be part of my narrative.
Yeah.
There's a part of Simi Polonsky right here. There's a little Simi who, when she's very little, who looks forward to me like, I never want you to get divorced. I don't want you to have divorce as part of your story.
Yeah.
Shua dying, you can't change that.
Control that. It's not a choice. Control that. Yeah.
What I've been working on is talking to that little Simi. I'm doing it literally right now because as you asked me that question, there was like two Simis here. There was an out-of-body Simi that's like, yeah, this happened. This is your story.
This is my story.
Yeah. And there's another one that's like, yeah, I own this. This is me. Thank God. Baruch Hashem for all the twists and turns. But there's two. It's like, I think to start, before I even get there, I just want to take a moment to say of deep gratitude for Hashem sending me this person after Shua passed away. Like such deep gratitude for myself and for my children. Like the last few years would have looked so different. I mean, not even from the negative. I'm so grateful for the stability, for the confidence, for the reminder of love, and for the teacher that love is so not linear that it has given me the past few years. So that's just number one. And what I want to give to this marriage, my second marriage, I want to give it the sacredness and the majesty and the divinity that it really had. It really did. And I wouldn't want this, I don't want the narrative that Simi holds what the label of divorce means to take away from that. And so what's really hard for me, and like I struggle with this, I don't know about every day, like when I see people, most people, you meet new people, I really struggle when, I don't say really struggle, but it's a challenge when I meet people, they're like, for example, yesterday I was at Shul for Shabbat. I see this woman, she lives in Gush Etzion in Israel. Her daughter married my best friend's younger brother. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. She recognized me, and she's like, oh my God, I'd love to meet your husband. Where's your husband? So I said to her, I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, my husband passed away 7 years ago. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I knew we weren't going to be sitting there for hours after. I didn't then go into the story and say, let me just fill you in. I don't usually do that. But then sometimes people say to me, so you've been alone for 7 years. Do you ever think of getting remarried? So I said to them, well, actually, I did get remarried. I met a beautiful man after 2 years. It didn't work out. Hashem sent us into each other's lives at that time, and then Hashem sent us out of each other's lives at the next juncture. And so it's hard for me, like when I can say it like that, then I'm like, that does it justice. But when I tell people that I was widowed and then divorced, it doesn't sit well in my system because I'm like,
because it's so much more than that.
It's so much more than that.
More than that.
Yeah, and there's a part of me that still feels like people are going to judge me. You've been in 2 marriages. Oh my God. And I know that deep down people don't, but the Simi that judges myself projects that on other people. So I don't like to say it. So that's why I wanted to give it that like foundation.
Well, it deserves and earns that foundation. And I think that is probably the most powerful thing you can share is, okay, yes, it ended in divorce. And yes, it didn't go as maybe you expected.
Yeah.
But there was such a, like you said, a divinity and a purpose to this relationship. And it did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Hashem sent you this experience, this person, because that was what needed to happen in your life. And for you to be able to say it and recognize it and honor it, I think is the biggest gift that you can share with the world.
And that feels healing in my system.
Yeah.
When I can hold it like that, because that's what feels the truest.
Yeah.
And obviously there were times when I was like, Hashem, did it obviously
did it have to be this way? Like,
did it have to end?
Why did it have to end if it was so good and beautiful and divine?
Yeah, I was like, did that need to be my story? Did I need to learn and evolve and learn new things about myself and love and marriage and loss through divorce? I was like, okay, that's how you wanted it. And then that's when I realized that's when we stop asking questions.
Yes.
We can like look back and reflect on what we've learned and grown, but not to the point for the story to make sense. We don't look back to get the answers. We look back to see like what was I able to get from that and grow from that, not why something was able to make sense. And that's a big difference in looking back.
100%. I teach Tanya to my community, and we always talk about this because God is something that we're never going to fully understand, right? I always say, I'm like, we're finite beings trying to understand the infinite. So yes, we are tasked with understanding as much as we can. And Tanya's all about like peeling away the layers and why it is the way it is and what Hashem wants from us and why was the world created and all of these things. And at a certain point, we hit a wall.
Yeah.
We hit the wall where that faith has to come in because we're never going to completely understand. And how you shared it is just really the embodiment of that so beautifully. It's like, we can show up for our lives and we can look back and we can see the things that we've learned and we can see sometimes like, oh, this is why this happened. But at the end of the day, we're not going to understand everything. And it's such a scary place to be. Like, it's that cusp of like, do I let go? Do I not let go? Am I fully in or am I fully out? We were having a Farbrengen here once for all the shluchim in Montana, and we had a guest speaker, and he was saying something. And of course, like an idiot, I'm arguing with him. Like, why? Why did I feel the need to argue? I don't even remember what the point was.
I relate to that so much.
I'm like, just shut your mouth. Like, why do you always have to say what you think? And he looks at me and he goes, Mrs. Brooke, are you in or are you out? It was about shluchas. It was like about the complexity of shluchas. Like, why does it have to be this way? Or what? You know, he's like, are you in or are you out? Oof. And I was schooled. I was put in my place. And then I asked myself, am I in or am I out? And if you're in, you're in. And if you're in, you don't get to always understand.
Yeah.
Of course, like we said before, right? You have to go through the dark and the wrestling and the questions. That is par for the course. Hashem wants that from us, I am pretty sure as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you come to this place where you can share and say, I don't understand why it had to be this way. But I can look back at that relationship. I can look back at that time of my life and really see the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that came with like a time and a distance because there was so much pain.
It takes time, right? Yeah. Because you can't do that right away. That's what I'm saying. If you did that right away, it wouldn't be real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why that's going back to not wearing my heart on my sleeve at the time. There's a time and place for it. And that was a time in my life where I like to call it like hibernation.
Yeah.
Like I really needed to go inward a lot. I even like Yaniv and I moved to Florida a year before we got divorced.
I was going to say, when did the move happen? Like, what
it was like a year, it was like a year, maybe a year and a half, but like around that amount of time before we got divorced, we were like, let's move here.
Yeah.
Let's move here. It'll be good for the kids, good
Yeah.
for us. Let's do this. And if I would have gotten divorced in New York, I never would have left by myself, my own, to a new place. I would have been terrified.
Yeah.
So what I've been able to do this past year is face my biggest fear, which my biggest fear is being alone. Before Shua died, it was my biggest fear. When Shua died, my ultimate soul's biggest fear is being alone. And being here this year gave me the gentle, very raw space to be alone and not be saved by my sisters, my friends, my community. I'm like in this random neighborhood where it's not random anymore, but it's still, I'm in this place where I can't just pick up the phone I did at the time and call someone and be like, can you come over and sit with me and cry on my couch? I didn't have that person to do that. I didn't have that infrastructure here. And so this past year, it was almost like one of the biggest tasks of me facing my biggest fear of being alone. And by the grace of God and my sheer determination to not be sad for the rest of my life. And I was, for the first 6 months after my divorce, I dropped my kids at the bus. I came back and I got back into bed and I stayed in bed. And, my daughter just said to me recently, for the first time, my 13-year-old, she said to me, she's like, Mommy, I used to come to your room and see that you were crying. After you got divorced from Abba, I would see that you're crying. And it was too much for me. And it made me feel too sad. And I didn't want to deal with it. So I just pretended I didn't see and I walked away. And so I said to her, I was like, I was like, I'm so happy that you were able to walk. She's like, no, she said to me, she's like, I'm sorry, I couldn't take care of you. That's what she said. And I said to her, I was like, I am so glad that you felt that I ultimately could take care of myself.
Yeah. You didn't feel like you were going to fall apart if she didn't come take care of you.
I was like, I don't ever want you to feel like you have to take care of me. And I was like, I think the biggest gift that I have given to my kids this year is them seeing that I've got me. I was in a marriage after Shua died and they saw that Yaniv got me. Like I had the support. And when I was getting divorced in the beginning, finally, and because I thought about it, when my daughters would get older and they would go through a messy patch in a relationship, no one else can save a woman in a relationship. I was like, no 100%. One can tell a woman to get out of a relationship, to get in a relationship. No one can. People can be screaming. Yeah. I want my daughters ultimately at the end of the day to know that they have the strength within themselves to really give themselves the strength that they need to do and be with whoever they want. And it was the first time, I think, since Shua died. Obviously, they saw a resilience in me deciding that I wanted to live. They saw a huge resilience, but there was like another step after post-divorce, seeing that like I can take care of myself. And my mom has got this.
That's the greatest gift that you can give to your child is you've got this. And on the flip side of it, the humanness of it, right? The messy part of it and it doesn't always work out the way you expect it. And we talk about this with my kids all the time. I'm like, we all struggle. Everyone's going to have their different struggles. They like to compare this one to that one. And then also like when my husband and I are arguing and I'm like, you know what? It's okay. We're arguing and we're going to figure it out. That's par for the course, right? And then just like this ability to be okay and to see imperfection.
Yeah.
Because I think we both experienced in our childhood, like our parents on such a high operating level. Mm. The thing that I take with me is this perfectionism that I've worked really hard to shed, but it's like, we don't mess up. And I think in my...
Or you suck it up. You just suck it up.
You suck it up and you just, pull yourself up from the bootstraps, whatever that stupid phrase is. But I guess I embody make a lot of mistakes. Like I go to the other extreme of like, show your kids that you are a big mess and it's still going to be okay.
Yeah. And there's like this, like just sharing that and like knowing that it's so real. there's this like jubilance that it gives me. I can like dance stepping into this conference like I've never felt it. And not to say that I'm confident all the time. I'm not.
No,
I still
nobody is.
I'm in this new wave. It's like vulnerable being a single woman. I was like married pretty much for 15 years. And to be in this new space, it's like, oh, there's a part that feels very vulnerable and a part that doesn't always feel confident going into shul and going to events and figuring out, I'm like, who am I going to sit next to? How long can I like hold conversations with people? Because I'm by myself. I can't just lean on someone anymore.
I think people who haven't experienced that, you don't even realize.
Oh, it's the little thing.
Yeah. It's like how much space that takes and how much we rely on it without even noticing.
Yeah. Like even like last night, it's Motzei Shabbat, it's Saturday night. You know, when you're in a beautiful marriage, and I'm a huge advocate for marriage, marriage is amazing. And the best thing, it's like one of my favorite things about marriages is that you don't have to do anything to feel good. You can sit at home on a Saturday night together, not do anything and be like so content because that
you're with your person. Yeah.
You know, a healthy marriage has a safety, has a contentment, has like a trust. And so what I really had to like learn about and lean into is like Saturday night by myself in the house. I'm like, I actually don't want to make plans and go out because you know what? Shabbat's tiring. I was with my kids all day. This, that. I was dressed till 9 o'clock at night. There's a part of me that's like, I don't know what to do here.
Where to put yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels uncomfortable, a little bit scary. And then even this was literally today's Sunday, last night. It's been it's a year and a half, and I'm so proud of where I've come and have gone. And it's like there's still that delicate space that I walk through and walk on. I'm like, okay, this is where I am. And then I talk to myself. And then I talk to myself again, and I have a conversation and be like, Simi, this could feel uncomfortable. It could even suck sometimes. And this is so right. This is where you're meant to be. You want to go out to make plans? You could pick up the phone. You could message a friend and be like, do you want to go see a movie? Do you want to go out for dinner? But you don't really want to go out. So you know what? You actually want to stay home. Can you stay home by yourself? It means you look at Instagram a bit longer. Okay, great. You're allowed. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's how I work through. Yeah.
Maybe it's a silly question, but do you feel that Florida is your home now? I mean, besides for being forced to be alone and having moved here with Yaniv, besides for that, I mean, I live away from all my family, so I really know what that feels like. But I also never really lived with my siblings. So I also I feel in my heart what I'm missing. And a lot of my siblings do live next to each other. And I get very envious of that.
Yeah.
But I never really experienced it. So living now in Florida on your own, do you feel that this is where you're going to stay and this is where you're going to thrive and all of that?
So the short answer is, how do I say this? Okay. Do I feel like it's my home in the part that like I'm making most of the present and being here and investing in the present, in my home, in here and in people and relationships? Yes, but the yes is attached to this transience. It doesn't feel forever at all.
Yeah.
I think the thought of Florida feeling forever feels like a little bit claustrophobic. And I don't know if that has to do with like, oh, you're going to make aliyah one day with your like one day, like everyone will make aliyah. I don't think it has to do with that.
Right.
I think it feels, and I don't know if this is, I'm not even judging a good thing or bad thing. I don't know if this is part of my work to feel more like, this is where you are, Simi, be it.
But you can feel that and also know in your heart of hearts, it's not permanent. Like nothing has to be permanent.
There's an impermanence that I feel here. But it feels like a stepping stone. I'm like, oh, this is a cool stepping stone. I can be comfortable here for a while. It's huge. It's big. There's enough space. It feels like a stepping stone. And at the same time, I have no idea.
Right. It's not like you have your next stop or your plan. Like you don't know what's happening next.
Zero idea. It's so uncertain. It's almost like, I'm like, Hashem, I'm excited. I am so excited and curious about my future, where it's going to go. There's like, it already feels big. My future already feels big and it already feels settled. Wow. So I'm like, oh, okay. It feels big. And at the same time, it feels settled. I've never verbalized it like that, but it does. So now it feels like home and transient.
Yeah. And I almost feel like there's a metaphor, like you said, Florida has a lot of space. And this is the part of your journey where you needed a lot of space. You needed a lot of room to really move through what your life was taking you through.
Yeah. And also room to not, this is interesting, to not be seen by so many people on the street. Like if I was in New York, I would take
my gosh. It's so intense.
There's a million events. I would be seen and see people all the time. Like a few months after my divorce, I went to New York for a bar mitzvah and I was there, and everyone is so loving and nice. They would ask me like, how are you doing? How is it feeling? And by the end of the bar mitzvah, I was like,
exhausted.
I was exhausted. And I was like, in Florida, I don't need to see a soul from week to week. I could just go.
This was your hibernation. Like you said, this was the time you needed to hibernate, and Hashem provided you the right place to do that.
Hashem provided me the right place with a beach 3 minutes away, so I could just feel like lonely, but not lonely because of
you're in this big world.
Yeah. And then when Sheva reached out to me, before she even asked me to do a line, she asked me to lead meditations.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Talk about looking back. Like I look back at what Florida has given me and the fact that I moved to this random place that I'm neighbors with Sheva practically. I'm like, not just her. She's just an example. Like my best friend, Hannah Ainsworth, lives here. And we've just rekindled our friendship in new ways. And it's just like, I've just looked back and be like, wow, the opportunities that I've gotten, I would not have been, I wouldn't have gotten in New York.
Yeah, you wouldn't have access to. I know you have to check on your kids.
I'm good actually, because the thing went
okay.
longer.
Okay, perfect. So, but I do want to ask you, you mentioned a few times, obviously Hashem through your journey. And there were times where you were super, super angry. Of course, like how could you not be? And then when you talk about Hashem, like you light up. And I asked you actually, when we were talking before the podcast, I'm like, I want to know about your relationship with Hashem. And you're like, oh, Hashem's my best friend. Yeah. That was your automatic response. And something really spoke to me about that, especially because I'm now like a little bit trying to deepen and show up in a more intimate way with my relationship with Hashem. I feel like I've always had a great relationship, but it's been a little bit more cerebral. It's been a little bit more just accepting, you give this to me, I'll take it, I'll figure out how to deal with it. Less back and forth, less like intimacy. And I look at you and I'm like, talk to me about that intimacy that you have with Hashem and the automatic response of like, oh, Hashem's my best friend. Like, I want to know about that.
Yeah, I did say that to you, and it does feel like that. And I think I was just tearing up as you asked me that, because when someone is your best friend and you love them so much, but you've gone through so much and experienced so much pain in the midst of that relationship,
you feel betrayed by that.
There's so much that comes up, because the closer that person is to you, the more betrayed you feel.
Yep.
So now it's not betrayal that I feel like. It's almost like Hashem, like, I'm going to say first, I've been through so much. And like, there was a time when I was so angry at Hashem and Judaism. I would like scoff at everything. I'd be like, oh, I don't need to do that. And I don't believe in this. And I don't believe in that. And I don't believe in this. And like deep down, I didn't like being so angry, because I also love that person. I'm just, however, I'm going to, what's it called when you
anthropomorphize or something? I might have made that up, but like when you talk to Hashem, like he's a person.
Yeah.
Because that's how we relate to our relationships.
I'm going to say the word hated. I was so angry. There was like this venom that would come out of my ears and my head, this anger, this rage that would come out in face of this relationship with Hashem. And then there was no one rushed it, no one pushed it. Slowly, I stood in the same place with Hashem. When we were angry, it was like this. When there was the anger, the rage, the hate, it was me and Hashem like this. It was like, I went to Rabbi Simon Jacobson after Shua died to ask him questions, like why questions. And the best thing that he ever did was say, there's no answers. And this is what he said to me. And it's a vision that has stuck with me forever. He's like, Simi, it's you and Hashem in a dark room, and you are stripped naked. There's no one else, nothing else. It's just you and Hashem. That's it. And when he described it to me like that, I was like, that is exactly what it feels. And that's what it feels like. And that's why there is this deep, 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 intimate relationship. Like Hashem choosing to take Shua from this world was such an intimate blow I was like, I didn't feel like anyone could get more intimate than that. I was like,
right.
Hashem, you just went hard. You went deep and hard and straight to my innermost core. There was no escaping the intimacy at that point. Rachel Goldberg shared, and obviously we don't compare pain and situation, but something she said was, I was just like in awe by this woman, and I'm still holding the table. I'm holding the table at this point because she said to me, she said in public, and I heard it, the moment she heard that Hirsch was murdered was the closest she had ever felt to Hashem in this entire experience. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah. I remember hearing that also. And I was just like, yeah, hold the table. And then she said, someone asked her, like, what do you think your relationship with God is now? Like, has it changed? And she said something like, I understand Hashem even more.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that I understand Hashem more. I think I have an understanding of what life is and what life can be, and just what life ultimately is about. It's about it all.
Wow. Yes. And the way you describe that in a dark room, intimate relationship with Hashem, and that's like the most intimate you can get. It's so true. And I remember hearing actually from Yossi Jacobson, which is Simon's brother, I listened to a class randomly and he said, where do you find Hashem? Like Hashem is in the darkness. Like we always want to be in the light. We always want to be in the light. We always want to be in the light. But where you find God is almost as like you can't have the light without the darkness. That's where you go and you find God. And I hesitate to say this because I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, you've got find God in everything negative in your life. Like Hashem wants you to be happy and joyous, and we want to find Hashem in the light as well. But it's not that you bask in Hashem's glory in the light and the darkness is just a means to the end. It's part of it.
Yeah.
It's part of that intimate relationship.
If we really believe what Hasidus teaches us, and Hasidus teaches us that Hashem is one, which means Hashem is in this cup. Hashem is the energy that infuses everything in this world, which means every seemingly what we call bad thought, negative feeling, shame, everything that we feel and think and imagine, Hashem is in those too. So when we feel shame and we feel this, Hashem is in that too. So it's not just Hashem's also. Hashem is specifically also because Hashem's in everything.
We forget. I feel like I forget that sometimes.
Me too.
Like,
I do too.
So easy to go about your life and do your mundane things. And that's what I'm talking about, like enhancing that intimate relationship, because there's so many days where I'm just like doing the things, right? And I'm doing the mundane things and getting through the day. And it's like, did I even think about Hashem today? Maybe not. I don't even know.
I think on a practical level, what really helped me get there, this is interesting, is that for me, a spouse was always like really right up there, like physical, emotional, everything, like all of that. A spouse was that. So when I had a spouse as a sounding board and talk, like Shua went to graduate school with a good friend of mine, Avigail, who became a good friend of mine actually since. And she said to me, she's like, Simi, we would drive to Long Island and I'd probably call him. It was an hour drive. She's like, you called him like three times during that. Okay. She's like, I knew she's like, I kept talking to you because you kept calling him all the time. And when I lost that person to talk to all the time, I didn't know where to put myself. I just ended up talking to Hashem all the time. And that's what I do. I talk to Hashem all the time. I don't know if it's necessarily out loud. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times I wake up in the morning before I even open my eyes. I'm like, what's up, Hashem? I'm like, I can hear it. I'm like talking to him. I'm like, there's no one to my right to talk to. There's not a person there. So maybe that is what allowed me to really develop an even more intimate relationship with Hashem.
Wow. I mean, that's what I strive for. Like, I want to wake up and intimately have Hashem as part of my day. I'm researching like Brene Brown, like asking people, I'm like, okay, how do you talk to God? I want to know, like, how are you talking to God in this most intimate way? I'm not used to that. So it also can feel kind of awkward. What am I even doing? What is happening here?
Yeah, if I stop to think about it, I'm like, if someone listens to this podcast and they're like, what is she talking to? I can see why that would feel awkward. And to me now, it's like,
it's just
this is my man. This is my person. Like, this is who I'm talking it through with, obviously I've got my best friends and my sisters, but like the core where no one else can see you as you are, it's me and it's Hashem.
This is where also when I was talking about trying to make more space, because I feel like when you make more space and you slow down, you can actually hear, not with like voice, but like you can hear Hashem kind of talking back to you and guiding you and like showing you the path. Like, do you experience that where you can be like, okay, this is my next move, or this is what Hashem has in store for me? Do you feel that?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to say yes. That comes in different forms, in different ways. Sometimes it's like, some of it could be like heebie-jeebie and some of it could just be like really practical. So if I'm like having an ongoing conversation with Hashem and just like remind us, to, like, for example, be like, I'm trying to think of an example. Just like in this stage of my life, I'm like going through telling Hashem, you know, I'm feeling afraid, I'm feeling nervous, I'm feeling like vulnerable, not so confident, but I also want to do this and I also want to be there. I can go through those conversations and just be like, when I'm quiet, it's really when I attune to my body signals to me what Hashem is saying. My body can signal that to me. And I think that's because I've done a lot of somatic therapy. So
I was going to say, like, you have to get back into your body.
Yeah, I really do. And I know it's
everybody.
It's everyone. I know it. Our body is our first point of expression of our soul. Like it's this.
Well, I have to tell you something that every time I teach this chapter of Tanya, like it hits me over and over again.
Which one?
I think it's chapter 36 or 37. And it's basically saying, like, when we are in this world, the purpose of being in this world, doing Hashem's will, it's about our body and our animal soul. Our soul has nothing to do with this. I talk about this with my community all the time. It's like, it's about your body. So when we try to separate ourselves from our body and we're like, oh, it's materialistic, oh, this or that, like, no, it's actually about your body and your animal soul. Your soul's already godly.
Yes.
It's not about that. It's about your body. So it ties so beautifully into somatic therapy because it's like, we can't do what we need to do and we can't show up for Hashem or ourselves if we're not in our body. We are not disembodied souls. Like, souls can't do anything without a body. I feel like we have this message where we keep trying to separate ourselves from our body. We're trying to be less physical, less materialistic, or less focused on the body. And yeah, obviously obsession on any form is never good, but it is actually about our body.
Yeah, our body's our first point of expression of our soul. Just for people that they might be listening, be like, what does it mean out of your body, in your body? It's like,
yeah,
you can imagine that your mind is like racing ahead 100 steps and your body's like,
yeah,
you're not really in line with where your mind and heart, you can feel a disconnect. So for me, when I really focus in on my body, and let's say I'm trying to think of a question or what to do, like I can think about, like, I'm like, this feels right. Like this feels right. I go based off like a guttural womb feeling. That's one way. Another way is just like, I see signs. I see signs all the time. Hashem sends me signs when I need them.
Because you're open to them. Everybody has them. Are you looking for them?
And sometimes when I don't, I'll be like, Hashem, I haven't seen a sign in a while. And I'm feeling like I need a bit of a boost because I can keep giving myself morale. Yeah, Hashem's got you. You've got this. I'm like, I want an external something.
Yeah, and coming full circle to how you started with the guy with the freaking wind chimes. Like, that was Hashem talking to you.
Yeah, literally. It literally was the whole that whole morning.
And it's so easy to look at that morning and be like, wow, why did everything have to go wrong? This was canceled and that was late. Everything did go wrong, but then you totally flipped it because you're like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to lie on a bench, and then you had this beautiful musical experience.
And then another way is that, like, if I have like mentors and friends that I feel like I can rely on at different points, like I will call someone and be like, I'm going through this. I'm not sure where to go. They will help me walk through it. And I'm like, Hashem wants them in my life so they can guide me. That also feels like a Hashem moment. But like this morning, this was not so crazy, but it's like, this is a regular conversation in my home. Because we're cleaning up the house, because of the open house, I'm trying to like clean it. And because like my ADD brain, I'm not just tidying up. I start going through my kids' drawers. I'm like, Simi, this is not the time, but I couldn't help it.
It's like Pesach cleaning. We decided that Pesach cleaning meant to be organizing. Like,
yeah.
No,
like,
it doesn't have to be that way.
But I found an extra pin for Joshy's basketball pump. And he hasn't had it for like a couple of days. And his life is ball and sport. And I find these 2 pins and he's like elated. He comes to me with these 2 balls that have been deflated for a week. He's like, I just blew them up. And he's like, do you know what it was like, Mommy? I was like, what? He's like, first the ball was full. That's like Daddy when he was alive. Then the ball died. It lost all its air. And I just pumped it up. And that's like Daddy when Mashiach comes.
Oh, holy moly. You did that, Simi.
So then I'm like, that moment to me is like, he said it with such almost joy. Not joy, but joy and jubilance. I'm like, you're watching. You're watching.
Yeah.
He's going to be okay. He's talking about things. He's integrating. He's internalizing. I'm like, that's a big sign. I'm like, okay. Because sometimes I'm like, what am I doing as a parent? This is hard. And then I'm like, that is such a nice reminder from my child, from Hashem, to be like, you got this and I got you. And Shua also, like, I feel that protection.
I relate to that part of just raising kids, and raising kids is hard no matter what circumstances. And sometimes we have additional circumstances. Yeah. And the one time I do talk to Hashem, I'm like, these are your kids too. You need to watch out for them because I'm doing everything I can and I need your help because there's a lot of scary things going on. And I sometimes feel so out of my depth.
Oof, yeah.
I'm like, I'm not sure you picked the right person for this. Like, I mean, I want to accept it because I mean, I know that you know what you're doing, but sometimes I question, do you really know what you're doing?
Yeah, totally. And that's it. There you are talking to Hashem. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just need to do it more. But this, oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing your soul with us and with me. Actually, this was purely selfish. I get to do this, and whoever gets to listen to it is very lucky because this was for me. I've been wanting to be able to get deep with you and kind of just be able to hear. It's not your story. That's what I think is so special about you. It's not your story. It's you. And I so appreciate how you show up and how you choose to also know when it's sacred and when you're hibernating and when you're showing up. You are definitely somebody that I look up to in that space. And I feel have a kindred spirit in the way that we move through life and feel like we have to just express and
want to have fun.
Want to have fun. I know the whole week I was looking forward to this. There's always a little bit of nerves coming into a podcast, but the nerves this time was filled with excitement. I'm like, I am so excited about this. So thank you. You really made it work at such a busy time. And I'm forever grateful. And I can't wait to talk to you again, honestly.
Thank you. Me too. I'm so grateful. Thank you for having me. I can't wait. I'm just so excited about all this. You asking me was like, I was like, I love sharing. So it was really nice. It felt really nice. I felt seen. So thank you.
Yes. Okay. I am 1000% sure that you enjoyed this episode. There's so much to unpack. I can spend a whole nother 3 hours just talking about the things that we talked about. There's a few things that stood out for me that I just want to share and reiterate, and the things that I listened to and thought about long after I had the privilege of speaking with Simi. So one of the things that we talked about, which is so powerful, and I kept thinking about, is this idea that life is so close to death. And the way Simi talked about that was so powerful. Like, it really is. It's like 1 second you can be alive, 1 second you are not necessarily. And when you've experienced something like Simi's experience, you really understand and recognize the truth to that. And we went on to talk about this idea of what is the choice, right? What choice do we have when life throws us a curveball and life throws us these huge challenges? what choice do we have but to continue living and just showing up? And I think a lot about this all the time because there is this idea where we talk about and admire people for their strength and their resilience and, oh my gosh, you're so strong. And sometimes being on the other side of that, it's like, well, what do you mean? What's my choice? What's my choice? I didn't ask for this. What am I supposed to do? And what Simi said, and I think about all the time, is you do have a choice. The choice is, do you want to have a good life? That's where the choice lies. Do you want to have a good life or do you want to be miserable? And I think having a good life through the challenges starts off with a little misery, there is a lot of pain. And then we wake up and we make a choice. Do I want to have a good life? And framing our choice in that way, I think about that all the time. Because we each in our own life experience things that can really send us in a spin. And it's so easy to get stuck there. And it's okay to be stuck there for however long is necessary. But there will come a time, and there is a point where you're going to have to decide, do I want to stay stuck here forever or do I want to have a good life? And what does it mean to have a good life? And how am I going to accomplish that? And Simi talks about really the concept of a little bit of fake it till you make it. Go through the motions, do the things, show up, even though inside of you is nowhere near aligning with that and you're still a mess inside. You've got to start somewhere. So that was really, really powerful for me. And it's so funny because I always say, wow, this is so timely. And this is exactly the challenge that I've been feeling and working on. It seems like there's always something we're working on. And I did share last episode feeling a little stuck in certain areas of my life and just getting stuck in a negative narrative and getting stuck in shame, which we talk a lot about on the episode too, like what shame contributes to our whole story. And I've been thinking a lot about what is it that needs to change in my own life for me to be unstuck. And it always comes back to, what's your narrative? What's your narrative? I was speaking to a friend this week, shout out Dina, about my experience in the past couple weeks and how I have done this before. I've had challenges before. I've had parenting struggles, and I've learned to stay above it in the sense of like not enmeshing my own value and self-worth in the story. But I had a little bit of a setback. I took a couple steps back and got stuck in that narrative because I think staying above the narrative, staying above that shame and blame takes so much work. And then when you're exhausted and it's one thing after the next, it's so easy to fall back into that space. And I was sharing and Dina was like, it sounds like what you're saying is that you now have the opportunity to experience geula, like experience like a personal redemption. So maybe this is not a negative thing. Maybe this is like another opportunity to reach another level of personal freedom and personal redemption. And that really, really changed my perspective because until now I'm working on it and I'm doing all those things, but it still had this little bit of like a negative energy. Because it was like, I shouldn't be here and I'm trying to be better. And how did I get stuck here? All of that stuff. But framing it as another opportunity to get deeper and another layer of our inner freedom, which is very timely in the time between Pesach and Shavuos. We're in this time of self-refinement and character development and freeing ourselves from ourselves and from the things that we tell ourselves. So listening back to this episode, it really just landed for me all over again. And there is this concept of pain and suffering. We all experience pain. There is no way to move through this world if your eyes are open and you're a present and feeling person to escape pain. And then there's suffering. Suffering sometimes is a choice, right? If we want to stay stuck in the pain forever and we want to be in a victim mentality, which Simi loved how Simi spoke about her journey with victimhood. And at the end of the day, we do get to make a choice of where we want to end the suffering. The pain doesn't go away. Don't get me wrong. There's pain. That doesn't go away. But where do we want to end the suffering and live our best life? And living our best life, guess what? Takes so much work and so much effort, and it's exhausting. So just remember to keep taking breaks from all the work and pausing and stopping to enjoy, to smell the roses, to take the walk, to enjoy your children, to enjoy your spouse, to enjoy yourself. Don't let the world pass by with doing all the work and all the work and all the work, even if it's self-work and it's all great. You still have to take time to enjoy the space that you're in. The one thing that I feel about this episode that I hope everybody comes away with is this idea of permission to feel. When somebody shares their story in such an open and vulnerable and real way, it allows us to tap into our own stories and to feel the things that are scary to feel. And it gives us permission, which is such a huge passion for me. One of the real motivating factors of me sharing my story is the permission it gives for other people to feel not alone, to feel the ugly and the feelings that we don't want to own. We can own them. We can feel them. We're not alone. We all have feelings that we wish we'd rather not have, or we wish we didn't have to experience, but pushing them away and having shame around them doesn't help us on our journey. So I do think that this idea, this concept of feeling our feelings, it's people like Simi who make it accessible and make it okay for us to feel our own story. So I'm sure as you were listening, you had all these emotions come up for Simi and her story, but I hope also you were able to tap into and feel and make space for your own story and your own pain and your own triumphs and your own journeys and your own resiliency, and celebrate it. That's what I really hope comes out of this episode. And I think, like I said, I can go on forever, but I think there you have it. As an update, my personal update, which I kind of intertwined, does that work? Intertwined with the recap of the episode. But it's very interesting. I think this time after Pesach, there's just the expectation, I think at least I had of myself, that, okay, wow, that was a huge job well done, tons of output, things are going to calm down, things are going to get a little slower, a little easier. And every year, it doesn't actually pan out that way. And so I've had a little bit of a harder time bouncing back, just emotionally and physically. And I'm trying to lean into that. It's hard. It's hard to just be slower. I'm just slower. That's the truth. I'm just slower. And it has been busy, but also at the same time, I'm finding pockets to kind of just space out and do my best. And it's hard. It's hard when you're not used to being slow. It's hard to lean into that narrative and that reality. But this is where we're at. And I think this time, this 7 weeks that we have between Passover, Pesach, and Shavuos, it's meant to be a time of reflection and growth. We're supposed to be working on our character. These are what the 7 weeks are about, right? We go through all the attributes that we all have, that we're born with. And each week we get to refine and grow in each character trait. And I love that there's this opportunity and this ability to pay attention to that. It's built into our life. It's built into the system, if you will, to take some time to look at where you want to grow. And a lot of it is around ego, right? So much of our victim mentality or our pain or our suffering or even our narratives with our children have a lot to do with our ego. And this is a really great time to confront that and work on it and befriend it, right? So I wish you all a beautiful week, a beautiful era of growth and reflection and acceptance of who we are, what our story is, and what God has in mind for us. So love you all. See you next time. Okay, so this podcast does not happen by itself. The magic takes a whole group of amazing people, and I want to tell you who those people are. So obviously I'm your host, Chavie. Our producer and creative director is Eli Ben-Chion. He keeps me on my toes. He makes sure that I just keep growing and on point and don't miss a beat. He's the best. Audio is edited and mixed by Reed Seeley. Also, unbelievable. He's so cool, calm, and collected. You kind of need that working with me. And the music, which is beautiful, is by Basia Schechter and Shaul Magid. And this is totally unexpected.